This is GWN7 Local News.
Tonight, Albany's landslide disaster takes a turn for the worst with another home threatened. Infections on the rise again, more than 300 people now in hospital with COVID. Online scammers rot a family out of thousands and don't deliver the puppy they promised.
And warnings of more heavy rainfall for the Pilbara. All the latest on your weather.
It's now 5:30 and we're live across Western Australia.
Good evening. First tonight, the Albany landslide saga has taken another turn for the worse, with a huge retaining wall destroyed and another home under threat. It came after the demolition of two properties which were too damaged to be saved. But their removal seems to have given the landslide more energy.
A lot can change in just a week. This is what Alan Smith's outdoor laundry area looked like last week. Now it's gone, inundated with mud and clay, and that's still moving.
A retaining wall has collapsed and it's given me great concern.
Last week, demolition workers began tearing down two damaged homes on Sleeman Avenue, but residents say that's done more harm than good. It looks like the destruction of those homes has seen the landslide on the move again.
And obviously the rain that we've had hasn't helped. This is the problem, and the fact that, again, everything above us is heading down and having a lot of machinery on site doesn't help. The vibration just gets it all going, as again, just doesn't help the whole condition.
Last week, Alan was told by the City of Albany if he continued to do works to save his home, he could risk receiving a $5,000 fine. But that hasn't stopped him.
The reason why I'm doing this is to relieve any pressure against the rest of the retaining walls that we've got still standing.
The city declined to speak on camera today, but says demolition works will continue for the rest of the week. In the meantime, residents say they're not getting any help with the massive clean-up.
We haven't seen anyone from the Shire to come and help us, that's all. But I don't expect it at this point because they've been missing in action. As far as you can see, this will all end up slipping down again when the rain starts again, so we've got this whole thing to keep dealing with all the time. And as regards to our retaining wall, I don't know how we're going to repair that. That's just something we'll have to get some engineers involved, I think.
Elise Holden, GWN 7 News.
WA's COVID hospital numbers have taken a jump, with 314 people now in hospital with the virus. 11 people are currently in ICU. It comes as more than 12,000 new infections were recorded overnight, with almost 90,000 active cases across the state. Today's report also included another historical death, a woman in her 80s. Our hospital numbers prompting the state's nurses union to renew calls for restrictions to be brought back across the state.
The government needs to seriously reconsider the reintroduction of some restrictions. Let's start with masks. Let's encourage employees to work from home. You've got increasing numbers of COVID patients adding additional strain to an already burnt out health workforce.
A Southwest mother has been left $14,000 out of pocket after falling victim to an online pet scam. She thought she was buying her family's first puppy from interstate before the scammers duped her.
Australian mother of two, Bianca Guadagnino, thought she was buying her family's first puppy. Instead, her two children have been left with dog toys, a bed and bowls, but no dog.
Imagine me seeing it for $1,700. We thought we were getting a good buy, and that turned into a $14,000 puppy with no puppy.
This is the American Blue Staffy in question, advertised online in Darwin for $1,700. Bianca immediately contacting the seller, who she says looked genuine and authentic.
I spoke to him on the phone, through text message and email, and he was questioning me a lot, like, we want our puppies to go to a great home. Do you have kids? Have you dealt with this breed before?
But the costs kept coming in, more money for a different crate, fees to be checked over by a vet, thousands just to get past WA's border. The young mum even told she'd wind up in court on animal cruelty charges if she didn't pay.
A passport to come to WA, and with all the new COVID restrictions, this was completely normal, so I was none the wiser. and paid the additional $3,280.
And Bianca isn't alone. Already this year, 72 pet scam reports have been made to Consumer Protection, with 50 victims from across WA losing more than $100,000.
That's 10 a month. That's almost 2 a week that we're seeing in scams.
Bianca's hard-earned cash now unlikely to be returned.
When you transfer money by bank to these scammers, it is almost impossible to get your money back, because the second it hits their bank account, it's then redirected to multiple different accounts.
Because we have, 2 small children and we wanted a puppy to grow up with them. So it wasn't something we just decided overnight. We have been thinking about it for quite a while. You never think it's going to happen to you until it does.
Tom Marlowe, GWN7 News.
The state government has added an extra $30 million into the fund it's set up for the transition of the timber industry away from old forest logging that will come to an end in 2024. But already the Parkside timber mill in Greenbushes has shut down because workers have resigned ahead of the old forest logging ban. Now, Forestry Minister Dave Kelly announced that the extra $30 million would go towards an industry and community development program.
It might provide assistance to businesses who want to come and establish in the southwest, new businesses to create new jobs here.
Tax time is once again looming, with the Australian Taxation Office set to target 4 key areas this year. Keeping records is more important than ever, with thousands of people now working between home and the office.
There is money to be made at tax time if you know where to look.
So most accountants will have a checklist for your industry that will tell you all the different receipts that you need to bring in and what sort of records that you need to keep.
The Australian Taxation Office releasing 4 key target areas: record keeping, work-related expenses, rental property income and capital gains from crypto assets, property and shares.
My top tip this year is to download the ATO app. So on the ATO app, you can keep track of your deductions. All you need to do is, when you buy something that's work-related, take a photo on your mobile phone, upload that information.
You must have spent the money yourself and can't have been reimbursed, and you must have records to prove it. Even more important now, with so many of us working between home and the office.
So if you're working from home more frequently, they would expect that your motor vehicle or travel expenses would be less than previous years.
With workers urged not to rush as soon as June 30 comes around, this year the ATO is targeting areas people commonly make mistakes, so we're being told to take it slow and make sure everything is accounted for.
At the ATO, we want people to claim the deductions they're entitled to, nothing more, nothing less, and you need to have good records.
Tom Marlowe, GWN7 News.
Shauna Willis joins us now with all the latest on your weather.
Thanks, Noel. Warm north and a cool start to the south with just a couple of light falls as a high you can see here drifted east. Clear skies and light winds though for much of the south before cloud building. That's ahead of a low and a cold front you can see through here just approaching from the west. Also a trough and cloud band just starting to move in on parts there of the Pilbara. Fitzroy Crossing and Derby were our official hotspots today. That was 38 degrees there. A cooler day through the Pilbara, just 25 for Newman, and that was also the maximum for both Carnarvon and Geraldton today. Similar temperatures through those central areas, while Kalgoorlie dropped to just 5 overnight before a top there of 21. Now it was 22 for Bunbury. Albany reached 20. Inland minimums were chilly. We had a handful of places including Hyden and Jarrawood see just 3 degrees. A light shower for Esperance this afternoon and 19 the top there. Now rainfall has eased well back across much of the state up until 9 a.m. Dry for the northern half and most of the south. Our heaviest report was right here at Collie, 13 millimetres, and we had 6 mils for Albany. On the weather wall, a big hello to Robbie, Micah and Ollie from Mount Tarcoola Primary, and at Alta One College in Kununurra, a big thank you to all the kids from Year 7 up to 12. Now our Pilbara told to get ready, heavy rain on the way for you. I'll have your latest forecast right after sport.
Thank you, Shauna. Also coming up, all the action from Avalon Beach at the weekend, where longboarders took to the surf in the battle for state titles. A man in his 40s was lucky to escape serious injury after rolling his car off Forest Highway near Lake Clifton last night. Police say the man was driving southbound and left the road in his Holden Astra just before 9 p.m, rolling it into a tree. The man was the only person in the car and was airlifted to RPH. Police believe his injuries were not life-threatening. Well, from today, passengers who use the Australind train can tell the government what sort of replacement they want when the line is shut down while the Armidale line is being rebuilt and refurbished. The Bunbury to Perth rail line uses the Armidale line and will be impacted by the extended shutdown, which gets underway early next year. Among the options which will be considered are a direct link between Mandurah and Bunbury, a direct link between Bunbury and the Perth CBD, and an all-stop service between Perth and Bunbury. You can comment by logging on to the state government website called Building for Tomorrow. A family-owned Midwest business is continuing to punch above its weight. The illegal tender rum company operating out of Dongra has won a World's Best Rum Award. The demand for their product is now so high, the owner's grandmother was helping label the bottles this week.
A small family operation at the Dongra family farm, now taking it up to the biggest and best producers in the world.
It's just extremely great validation that what we're doing here at our property is of world-class quality.
Illegal Tenders Distillers Cut has won Best Column Distilled Rum 5 years or under for the third year in a row at the World Rum Awards. Cody describes the drop as his surrogate children, his special recipe made from all Australian ingredients.
It's matured in the casks that we get from the southwest wine region, so they're ex-Shiraz casks in particular, and they're aged within the Dongra climate from anywhere from 2 to 5 years.
The first batch they created was so smooth they had to add more alcohol.
We proofed it down to 40%. We noticed that it was entirely too easy to drink, basically. We got to 45% and we found that was a really good trade-off between ABVs. It's just enough to remind you that you are drinking a spirit, but it is still incredibly smooth.
This time, 3 years ago, they were selling only out of the distillery and online. Now the rum is in select bottle shops across Australia, meaning they've had to expand and upgrade 3 times in as many years, with another in the works. The demand is so high that 81-year-old Nana Else was helping out last week, but they want to keep the operation in Dongra.
We hand label, hand bottle everything here on premise as well, so we will be looking to expand again in the very near future. So hopefully we can keep up with the demand that we're seeing.
Lockie Byrne, GWN7 News.
The annual Longboard and Logger State Championships have wrapped up for another year at Avalon Bay, just south of Mandurah. While conditions proved challenging for competitors, they still put on a show, with many southwest competitors carving out the waves to take home victory.
It was an epic battle between first and second for the Open Men's Longboard final on Sunday. While the conditions proved difficult for the first 2 days of the comp, the final day left spectators on the edge of their seats. Ryan Clark from Dunsborough went up against Anthony Spencer from Margaret River, with Clark coming out on top, winning by just 0.06 with a score of 14.6. Clark also won the Open Logger final by a mere 0.6. Sasha Jane Lowerson from Mandurah took out the Open Women's Longboard and Open Logger divisions, and in the over 50s Women's Longboard final, it was Samantha Vanderford from Lancelin who secured the top spot. The over 60s men's final saw Barry McKinnon from Dunsborough as the winner with a score of 14.1. And it was the day for Dunsborough, with locals Bob Monkman and Mick Marlin winning the over 65s longboard and over 70s longboard final respectively. North Fremantle's Kevin Anderson claimed the state's titles trifecta, dominating in the over 55s, over 50s and over 40s logger events. During the over 50s final, Anderson claimed the wave of the weekend with a near-perfect score of 9.33 out of 10. Anderson will lead the state champions to New South Wales for the Australian titles in August. Adelaide Williams, GWN7 News.
Coming up next in sport, another huge victory for the Bucks. The Geraldton team absolutely dominating the State Basketball League. In basketball, the Geraldton Buccaneers have continued their impressive form after a tight finish against the Rockingham Flames. The Goldfields Giants men's team also rebounded after their loss last weekend, but other country men's and women's teams weren't so lucky.
The fairy tale season for the Geraldton Bucks continues as they sit undefeated after a thrilling top-of-the-ladder match at the weekend.
Seconds remaining now. Walker has been so influential tonight.
The Bucks fought hard against the fiery Rockingham Flames, winning the first two quarters. However, the Flames overcame the fan favourites, winning the second half. But it wasn't enough to overrun the Bucks, who won by just 2 points. The support of the home crowd sealing the deal, with more than 600 people watching the game. Geraldton local Johnny Narkle served up a strong game with 16 points, 14 rebounds and 2 assists.
They do it again. The Bucks have done it.
Meanwhile, the Goldfields Giants impressed against the Warwick Senators, playing at the Giants' home grounds in Kalgoorlie. The visitors started strongly, but the Giants closed the gap to a 1-point difference by half-time and then charged home, winning the second half to finish with 91 to the Senators' 78.
Puts the exclamation mark on a fantastic game.
The Giants' Gerges Dor was a standout with 28 points, while Hussein Ford collected 12 rebounds for the night. Unfortunately, the Goldfields Giants women's team were luckless against their opponents. The Warwick Senators women put up a strong fight, defeating the Giants by 19 points. Danielle McRae fought hard with 26 points, 7 rebounds and 5 assists. And in Perth, the Southwest Slammers men's and women's sides met with the top-tier Joondalup Wolves. The home side proved too strong for the winless Slammers, winning the men's game by 53 points and the women's game by 55 points. Rachel Clifford, GWN7 News.
After a disappointing weekend for both the Eagles and Dockers, the attention has quickly turned to round 10 with the start of the Sir Doug Nicholls Indigenous round. Halls Creek, Samo Petrevski Seaton and Brooms Bailey Banfield were at Optus Stadium today, showing off their team's Guernseys for the weekend.
It was a weekend to forget for both our WA clubs. For Fremantle, a reality check on the soaking Gold Coast, and another 10-goal loss for the Eagles.
We'll keep looking to improve and review the parts of our game plan that maybe we needed to adjust or weren't good enough on the weekend, and that'll be the biggest learning from the weekend.
But the heartbreak will quickly turn to pride this week as the Sir Doug Nicholls Indigenous round showcases the talent coming out of WA, both on and off the field.
They're really proud to be wearing it and represent the club, and to be wearing his jumper is really special as well.
The Dockers Guernsey was created by star forward Sonny Walters with the help of Peter Farmer Jr., son of a well-known Noangarup artist and also related to Freo star Jeff.
We've got this band in the middle which represents the past, the present and the future, and obviously the present being the biggest and the ups and downs of everyone's journey.
The Eagles will again wear their Rainbow Serpent Guernsey, designed by Daryl Bellotti, son of a former Eagle from Carnarvon, Laurie.
I represent a footy club, my non-Indigenous teammate, my Indigenous teammate, so I think to be all in at one to represent this great football club is something that whole, and obviously this is my first time this one, so it's going to be pretty special.
The Eagles and Dockers will both have to wait until Sunday to show off the Guernseys on the field. West Coast are taking on the Giants at 12:10 p.m. WA time in Sydney, with Freo hosting the Pies at 3:20 p.m. at Optus. Lockie Byrne, GWN7 News.
And across the state this weekend saw a number of country footy contenders stamp their authority on their leagues. But along with the big victories came a number of heart-stoppers, some just getting over the line.
After a semi-finals appearance last year, it's taken 7 rounds for the HBL Lions to get on the board in 2022. And there's no better way to do it than against the crosstown rivals.
He's picked it up and he's kicked the goal. That's a great goal. Check side.
The Lions kept the Bulls to just 4 goals as they registered a 33-point win. South Bunbury continued their strong start to the season with a 42-point victory, while fighting efforts from Donnybrook and Collie weren't enough to get over the top of Bustleton or Eton. In the Great Northern Footy League, Northampton have continued their slow start to the season, falling by 25 points to Rovers, while Johnny Narkle backed up his 16 points for the Bucks on Saturday night with 4 goals for Railways on Sunday, as they beat Chapman Valley by 146. And to the South, Railways continued their premiership defence with a 100-point win, while the Sharks took out another heart-stopper, beating the Bulls by just 2 points. Lockie Byrne, GWN7 News.
Shauna Willis is back next with a look at the weather forecast and then ahead on 7 News. A brazen brawl in the middle of a suburban street. What triggered the mass attack?
Tonight's weather report brought to you by Renova Solar, powering WA homes for over a decade. renovasolarwa.com.au.
Hello, and a very happy birthday to Mary Rose of Jurien Bay, who celebrated her 90th on Saturday. Also married 70 years to her husband Bert. Congratulations. Now to the forecast, and parts of the Pilbara are warned to expect some heavy rain from tonight. We're looking at 6 hourly totals up to 120 millimetres. As a trough through here you can see, and that associated cloud band then develop some possible thunderstorms as well for parts of the Gascoyne and the Pilbara. While a low and cold front should sweep across the south. Now we're looking at showers reaching from west of Northampton across to York and then down to Walpole for Wednesday. Both that north and southern systems will be contracting further east, but early falls will again reach through much of the south. Rain and thunderstorms with possible heavy falls again over parts of the Gascoyne, the Pilbara, and moving through here more into the interior as well for Thursday. Still some showers south and up the Gascoyne coast below Shark Bay, and possible thunderstorms to the southeast, including the Goldfields, and also patchy through the Pilbara. And then Friday's weather map looks very similar. Showers through the south, still some inland falls to the north where it is all sunshine for the Kimberley tomorrow. 36 the top for Wyndham and Kununurra, but expect heavy falls for areas of the Pilbara. There is a flood watch as well. 30 with storms for Port Hedland, Karratha just 26, and a stormy 21 the top there in Tom Price. It is partly cloudy for the Gascoyne, possible heavy falls further inland. 25 in Carnarvon, and starting sunny through the central west Geraldton. Slight chance for late shower for you in 24. And starting mostly sunny right through the southwest before late showers. 23 in Bunbury. Mostly sunny but windy. 21 the top here for Albany, and it is all clear skies after a cool night inland. 8 into 25 for Northern. And it is windy but sunny for southeastern districts. 23 in Ravensthorpe and Esperance. And a warm Tuesday right across the Goldfields. Kalgoorlie, Boulder, 24. Boating tomorrow. Now expect variable winds to 15 knots from the Kimberley through here right down to that Gascoyne coastline. We have a swell to 4 metres off the west coast, and winds strengthening 15 up to around about 20 knots, while strong wind warnings have been issued for waters off Albany, also that Esperance coastline. A nice sunny 21 for Sydney tomorrow. Canberra, a cool 14, and yes, it should be sunny for Perth, the top there of 24. Good night.
Thank you, Shauna, and that is GWN7 News for this Monday evening. We'll be back later with updates. For news at any time, go to our website GWN7.com.au or follow our reports on social media. 7 News from Perth is next from our team right around the state. Good night, Western Australia.